The Galaxy Hole certainly tried to cash in on almost everything imaginable, and Action Captain is Sungold's attempt to cash in on, well, action movies! I've got two versions of the Action Captain card here because, well, it's a Galaxy Hole line, so of course there's versions, and these weren't the only two. And this Action Captain card type here would be the original. The Type 1 card here has the Sungold logo and markings on it, where the second card type has no company markings on it at all. All it's got on it is Made in China. This card does also have Warriors of the Earth on it in Spanish, which makes sense because I got it from Argentina. The Made in marking on the first card is indicated by the little golden sticker, which is usually made in China, but this one is made in Hong Kong. I'm sure this first type of Action Captain was released in a lot of regions, but I got this one specifically from Spain. Now, like with a few Galaxy lines, there's some confusion whether both these Action Captains were made by Sungold or not, but if it wasn't and the second one's a bootleg, well, they made sure to copy the same item number. They also copied the bullet points exactly for the second Action Captain card. So while the card with our Galaxy Arnold Schwarzenegger here is less blatant with its Terminator cashing in, I think it's still trying to do that. The Action Captain artwork here kind of reminds me of that Kyle Reese pose from Terminator 1, which Metal Gear liked too, so they kind of copied, but surprisingly Action Captain was more subtle if that was their inspiration for the card art. But if we want something much more blatantly Terminator, that's where the second Action Captain card comes in. The card artwork on this one is just blatantly supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger from Terminator. It's even got like the shiny eye and, the metal skull readout here. I do really like this pixelated explosion they have going on behind the figures on these cards. And while this card is very blatant about its Terminator references, there is another version of it which is even more blatant as they rename the line Terminate and Destroy figures. Kind of makes it sound like they're trying to egg kids on to destroy the figures, doesn't it? I'm sure parents would love that. I gotta say, even though the first card type has the more quality figure housed inside it, it does have a much more generic presentation of the two cards. Especially with things like this going on, where there's absolutely nothing on the back of the Sungold Action Captain card. Our Terminate and Destroy version has a full color display on the back. And it tells us to collect them all, which has, 3 different Arnolds, one with red hair, and 2 mustache guys, and 1 yellow-hair Triton. The original Sungold carded ones did the same thing as well, with some of the same figures coming with either a painted-on eagle tattoo or a tank top. And yes, the knockoff Arnold could come with a few different hair colors. In addition to coming with a giant-ass gun, the Sungold Action Captain figures would come with some smaller accessories which just kind of rattle around in the card with the figure. The couple mine came with were a pistol and binoculars, but you could also get a sweet walkie-talkie or a giant 80s cell phone, whichever you want it to be. My second Action Captain only comes with a giant gun, no secondary smaller accessories. And that marks one of the differences with the actual Terminator and Destroy branded figures, as they did come with a secondary accessory, which was usually a futuristic looking pistol, though I have seen a different version of that card, and that one came with a more realistic pistol like the ones that came with the Sungold ones. Here's our 2 Action Captains on the loose, and as you can see, there's nothing different about their construction versus any other Galaxy Warrior. Just like with the wrestling figures, they still got the same belt and trunks and stuff, they've just been painted up differently, and in this case to look like camo pants. And on the second card type guy, he's got a white film built up around his right leg, so that's kinda gross. Only the right one though, the left one is perfectly fine. Alright, I washed his leg, now we can continue the video. I bet it must be a real honor for Arnold Schwarzenegger to have made the Galaxy Hole. Our second character here with his bit of a shrunken head, I think is supposed to kind of resemble Charles Bronson. Pretty sure that's what they're going for with their Raw with his painted on mustache. kind of funny when you think of what was originally a He-Man knockoff turning into a Charles Bronson knockoff just by painting it up differently. The Schwarzenegger head sculpt is the only original one that was made for the Action Captain line. The others are just Galaxy Warrior heads repainted slightly. Besides Old Raw with a mustache, we also had Triton with a painted-on beard, which is very close to the wrestling Brut character. And we also had Blonde Triton, because that was something a lot of later Galaxy lines seemed to like to do. Don't know why they didn't do one with a kind of normal Triton head and try to give him a kind of Rambo-esque look. So getting the Action Captains to actually hold their accessories takes a little bit of finagling. I can get Arnold to hold his pistol pretty decently, but his big ol' rifle's a different story, as it doesn't really fit with his grip all that nicely and kind of gets in the way of his arm. There's the best I can get it. And yes, I know he's holding it by the clip. It was harder to make him hold it by the actual handle. The bullet bandoliers look the same, but they do feel a bit different from each other, with Bronson's here feeling much cheaper than the original Arnold one. On the back, these accessories are kind of done up with a belt with little notches on the back so you can tighten or loosen it. So Ronson has to become a lefty to hold his gun at all because his right grip is just too tight. I can force the binoculars into Arnold's hand, but he'll just immediately let go of them. The binoculars have a couple loops on the side, which probably is indicating that at one point they thought they'd have a string around this so you could loop it around the Action Captain's neck, but they got too lazy with it, or cheap because string's too much. Here's a shot of all the accessories a little closer. The second Action Captain's gun is made out of a bit of a different material than the other ones and has a bit of bend to it. The original Sun Gold ones, have some bend, but they're a stiffer plastic than this one. So here's the big difference between these two Action Captain releases. My Bronson figure is what is known as a long arm version of a Galaxy figure. Some later down the line Galaxy figures like this one do not have the usual Galaxy figure arms. For some reason, at some point, some of them started getting arms like this. The grips on these arms are a little different, with the left open hand being a little less so on the long arm variant. The muscle detailing on these arms is different from the original Galaxy ones, and they have different gauntlets. These arms are also a little less bulky than the original Galaxy arms and also reach down a bit longer, hence why they're called the long arms. I have no idea really why this happened with some later Galaxy lines. I mean, considering how many times the original Galaxy arms have been bootlegged, it's hard to believe they didn't have access to any to remold or whatever for some of these Galaxy knockoff lines. And while it is kinda hard to say if Type 2 Action Captains were a bootleg of the original one, or made by Sun Gold, I can tell you that my Arnold Action Captain does have a Sun Gold mark on his back, and my Bronson Action Captain doesn't have any marking on him. And there is one other quite notable difference about the construction of these two Galaxy figs. The original Arnold one on the Sun Gold card has, the usual elastic banded legs, while the Bronson figure's legs are on ball joints. But the most important part about these two characters is they still have rubber heads so you can make them super cool. Look at us, it's the team up you always wanted! The Action Captain movie starring Arnold and Bronson! What? There's a bit of quality difference between the two figures, but nothing overly extreme. Both have some kind of disappointing sloppiness to them, with the Arnold figure having a lot of plastic overrun on his open hand and Bronson having some paint blotching. You can also see that the Arnold figure's painted on tank top was done a bit neater than Bronson's. Sun Gold did at least give us one new head in this line, but I have seen a picture of at least one other different head that seems to be an Action Captain. This particular head was also used in Galaxy Warriors End of Time: The Last Battle. I've also seen a pretty discolored Bronson head on the second card type. 7. This is again largely just a repaint series of the Galaxy Warriors, but they did give us some different accessories with them. And I'll give it to Sun Gold and all its bootlegs for getting so much use out of this mold by transforming it slightly. 7. I suppose after Wrestlers, this is one of the other uses for the Galaxy mold that would come to mind fairly quickly. And besides the second version Action Captain and the Terminate and Destroy figures, these ones too got further bootlegged with Muscle Warriors molds. I've only seen this type with the Arnold head, but there are a few variations. I've also seen one of the original Captains that has Sun Gold Made in Hong Kong stamped on the back instead of just Sun Gold like mine. 4. It's kind of funny that all the packages made after the original Sun Gold one are the more interesting, and there's a lot of variations. This apparently Italian Terminate and Destroy version is quite bizarre with a giant top added to it. This one also has a slight variation to the artwork as the metal skull shows part of the knockoff Arnold skin on top of it. There's a picture from a magazine showing one of these on a smaller card that says Captain Action instead. Don't know what the deal with this one is or if it actually came out at all, but there was another figure called Captain Action back in the day. Anyway, my favorite cards are the Terminate and Destroy ones because of the more overt Terminator knocking off. Though there is an even further variation of this, which changed the name to Demolish Terminate Figure Gun Set. But instead of coming with Galaxy figs, this is one of those toy weapons sets, painted realistically, which they tend to not do these days. And the all-silver, non-articulated figure, I guess, is Robert Terminator 2 Patrick. Though the mold seems to be more Arnold than him, so it's whatever. I also like that the placement of the grenade in this picture kind of makes it look like knockoff Arnold's got a goatee. 8. Back when these came out, they probably supplemented any kids' storylines that needed Arnold or the Terminator or any other action guy pretty well. 7. And the bootleg zones overall is 7! It's wonderful to see Arnold Schwarzenegger as part of the Galaxy Hole, and Raw with a mustache will probably be making his death wish real soon. Welcome to the land of the Galaxy Hole, Arnold. Nice to have you with us.
Raw, what killed the dinosaurs?
Well, nothing. They're still around.
Wrong! My bad acting! I'll be back.
He said it. Actually, in all fairness, to be fair, honestly, you forgot that you won't be back, 'cause you've got a death wish.
Oh my god, this Arnold impression is horrible. Also, aren't you two the same person?
What? No, I would never grow a mustache. In all fairness, you would look good with one.
Oh yeah, I hate this conversation. I'm gonna governate you two right now with a gun.
Honestly, that wasn't fair.
Hello, Arnold. I'm your friendly neighborhood Boltard. Hello? I suppose I should have seen that one coming.
Honestly, it was kind of predictable. You have a bit of a death wish.
Oh, he said it! Hey, thanks for the gun, Arnold. It's gonna be a lot easier to take care of these nuisance galaxy fighters with this. Did I give that to him? I don't remember. Wait! Don't shoot a noobie! I am a noob! We could be brothers! Wow, the thought of that sickens me.
So, newbie, we're just shooting people now? Is that how we're doing this?
Yeah, I guess so. Seems a little weird, but I don't know. Try shooting Baltard once. You'll probably like it. Don't shoot, I'm an arm!